Hello my friends, welcome back to my revision channel. So today's video is not a revision video per se, but I really wanted to do one of these because I was getting ready to go out anyway. So I thought, why not make the best of it, since I live like a tramp most of the time and this is the first time I've put proper makeup on for ages, even though it's still not that much makeup, but still. Anyway, I'm getting lots of time, I need to go. But I'm going to be doing a what I read video because you all seem to really like the last one. I haven't read as many books between the last time I did one and now, obviously because I've had exams and life and it's just all been so much, and I really don't think I've actually read any of the ones that I said I wanted to, because as soon as I say I want to read a book I change my mind and read something else. It's a long story. I just have a pile of books that keeps getting shifted around in the order that I want to read them. But today I'm going to talk to you about 3 books that I have read between March and April, because now it's May. Great. I'm not going to say any more about that, but I'm just going to go on to the 3 books that I've read. Well, kind of 3 books, because it's like two and a half books, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. It's fine. The first book that I read was Jane Eyre. Right, this book is so long. Can I just tell you, right, you might just be thinking, oh yeah, it's not that long. Look at the font. It's tiny. This book literally took me 2 weeks to read, which for me, can you not right now, please, thanks? Which for me, considering I literally have 40 minutes in the car and like 20 minutes before bed, I read it in 2 weeks, which I was really impressed with. I'm not gonna lie. This book is incredible. I read Pride and Prejudice, and don't get me wrong, Pride and Prejudice as a like BBC special version is great, but having studied it at GCSE, I literally hate it because nothing happens. So I kind of went into this expecting it to be similar to Pride and Prejudice. Oh, how wrong I was. This is about a girl called Jane who's had a very, very traumatic upbringing, shall we say, and it takes you through her upbringing up till she's 18, and then she flies the nest from where she ends up, which I'm not going to say, and it's about her falling in love with Mr. Rochester. Now, before you think, oh, what another boring romance, this is so different. Like, I absolutely loved how they did this because she is so fiery and independent. Like, she's got quite a meek outward portrayal, but she's so fiery, independent. She's got, the way her internal monologue is represented in this book is just so gripping. The way that Bronte describes it is just all of the trappings of an amazing woman, and the relationship is not just a simple fall in love, all of that sort of stuff. There's a lot of twists and turns. People go across the country, things change. Like, I'm not going to spoil it, but what I love about this book is that it's so ahead of its time. Like, it's got, if you are a feminist, read this book. If you aren't a feminist, stop watching my videos. But hey, what I mean is, read this book, because I didn't only just love Jane, I love the description of the settings, because it's kind of like a gothic book. Not really, it's like, it like dips its toe in the gothic, because there are some very gothic going ons in the book, but that is there to supplement the main plot. And what I love is, spoiler, I'll give you 3 seconds to close your ears, she gets married to Mr. Rochester at the end, but she only marries him when they're on an equal footing and she's not his governess anymore. Like, they're both financially equal, and actually I would say that Mr. Rochester's reliant on her at the end, which is what I love, because so many people say, oh, she does all this thing, she's really independent and she does all of these amazing things, but at the end she just conforms to a Victorian woman. No, she marries when she's happy and when she's achieved what she wants to in life, and I just love it. I love Mr. Rochester. I'm just going to put it out there. Not what he does, but I like him as a human. And I study Wide Sargasso Sea at A2, so this was a necessary read for me. Well, it wasn't necessary, but I wanted to read it anyway. Absolutely loved it. I'm trying to think what else I want to say about it, because I feel like there's so much more to say. It's also a very good exploration of mental illness and the attitudes towards mental illness and like insanity and madness, if you like that sort of thing. Touches upon sort of like, not colonialism, what's the word for, like, you know what I mean, like the empire, what, I don't know what it is. Religion is explored as well. Nature, they use nature so well in this book. And Jane's childhood's really, really interesting to read, but I was really surprised at how short the childhood bit was. I thought it would be longer, and then it goes straight into her life. And it's autobiographical, but not autobiographical, because it's written by Charlotte Bronte, but it was titled Jane Eyre, an autobiography. So like, it is, because she like interjects in the narrative quite a lot. but then at the same time it's not. Like, I can't explain. Just read it. It's just so witty, so full of like courage, bravery, so full of twists and turns. The characters are amazing, and just such a non-Pride and Prejudice book. If you hate Pride and Prejudice, read this book. Actually, stuff actually happens in this book, so read it, okay? Especially if you're studying like women in literature, this is like a must. Jane Eyre is my favourite protagonist ever. She annoyed me at times, I won't lie, but she made the right decision in the end. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. The second kind of book that I've read, kind of meaning I've read one of the short stories in this book because there are 5 or 6, and I've read one because, let me tell you, reading in German is literally like wading through concrete. The story is really interesting, but it's not like Spanish where you can kind of just skim it and get the gist. You have to like know the words. It's annoying. I read Das Urteil by Kafka. That's the first story in this book, and he wrote it within like a day. He like wrote it really, really quickly, and you can tell because it's such an outpouring of passion and craziness and madness and just so many twists and turns, and it's such like, nobody can explain the conflicts within it. There are some conflicts within it, within like characters and plot, that literally no one can explain because they don't make sense. And that is what the point of this book is that it doesn't make sense. It's not a very long story. It's quite short. I've read it twice because I just wanted to make sure that I understood it. Obviously you can come at, it's basically about a guy who's writing to his friend who lives in Russia, pondering whether or not to tell him about his marriage and his successful life because he feels like his friend isn't very successful. And it's just him thinking about that and talking to his wife, his fiancée, and saying, oh, maybe we should write to him. And then he goes and talks to his dad, and then some weird stuff happens after that. I'm not going to say what happens. You need to read it, even if you read it in English. What I loved about it was how weird it was. Like, it's so difficult to like pin down anything that happens in it because you can explore it from like a psychoanalytical perspective with like all of the Freudian stuff, or you can look at it just from a perspective about society. But a lot of people think it's about Kafka and his life because apparently Kafka had a girl in his life, but he also wanted to dedicate his life to writing. So it's kind of the life that he's got versus the life that he could have. And the ending I just was not expecting at all. It's really, really bizarre. There are a lot of like phallic symbols in it as well. It's a weird one, but I liked it. Is that a way to describe it? It was a weird one, but I liked it. It's very Kafka, like it's just not, it's not like tangible. It's quite difficult, but it's basically about the judgment of a guy at the hands of his father, which is kind of the idea of Kafka at the hands of his wife. He basically thought that getting married would be the end of his writing career because he thought bachelorhood was like the key to good writing. It is just completely like him, just on the page, which is what I really liked about it. It's such a simple story, but so bizarre at the end. I mean, I just don't really, I don't know. I did really like it though. I don't really know what else I've got to say. I think there's very much a lot of like father-son relationship. Obviously Kafka didn't really have the best relationship with his dad, but I think just seeing it as a father-son story is not like enough. Like I feel like there's more to it than that. So if you do read it, do what I did, and after I read it I researched it so much. I found it really interesting. It's very much a story that you need to read in German to get the full like benefit, but I imagine that in English it was probably the same. Also, fun fact, the names in the story mirror the names in his real life, so basically it's just some sort of twisted autobiography. Who knows? The final book that I have to talk about today is The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. Now this is a group of short stories, the longest of which being The Bloody Chamber and the shortest of which being The Snow Child. A lot of people just want to call this book fairy tales with a feminist twist, and whilst there is no doubt that these are definitely feminist and they're definitely a product of their time, very much so, I feel like that is just too vague to describe these. These stories are indulgent, they're gorgeous to read, the descriptions of the surfaces, the fur, the snow, the clothes, the skin, it's just so, it's like an orgy for the senses. Like seriously, they're not stories you can skim read because you won't appreciate just how beautiful they are. Like, they are beautiful. They're honestly so sensuous, so like gorgeous, full of blood and snow and clothes, and it's all gothic and just so rich in messages and symbolism. There's lilies, there's so many flowers, so many clothes, there's fur, there's jewellery, there's just everything. Purity, chastity, sexual violence, deceit, deception, betrayal, love, death, everything within this tiny little book. They are fairy tales. There is Bluebeard, Puss in Boots, Red Riding Hood, a lot of adaptations of Red Riding Hood, Beauty and the Beast, everything. Seriously, there's so many stories in here. I personally have a few favourites. I absolutely love The Snow Child. It's a page and a half and it's just so weird, but when you click like what it's about, it's just so like, whoa. Like, Ibs told me that I would really like it, and I do. I read it 3 times just to make sure that I understood. And it's just all about how women can only exist as rivals and how women only exist as a sexual object for men. Obviously they don't, but like, it's just the point. I love The Tiger's Bride. Oh, it's like a beautiful inversion of Beauty and the Beast. Truly gorgeous. So much like nudity and like sex. So obviously I wouldn't really read it if you're younger than me, like 13, 14. But I really love that one. I really love how basically there's so much anthropomorphism in this book. There's so many animals turning into humans, humans turning into animals, shifts, change, fur. And it's basically about the idea of like women becoming at one with their sexuality and their sensuality, and like that's what, yeah, people turn into beasts, beasts turn into other things. What else can I say about it? Very feminist, very subversive, totally turns around the fairy tales completely how you would not expect them to be, which is what I really, really liked about it. If you do Gothic books at A-level or whatever, you study Gothic literature, this is definitely a more modern version of Gothic literature, so I think this is like a staple in your wardrobe, on your bookshelf if you haven't read it. My actual favourite though, because I'm classless and tasteless, was Puss in Boots, which is a sort of commedia dell'arte, stock character, hilarious, bawdy, just so funny tale about a cat and his master who's trying to woo a girl who's married to an old guy. It just reminded me so much of Chaucer and of the Fablio and of bawdy humour, just so funny, so indulgent. I just absolutely loved reading it. It's not anything like any of the other ones in the book. I think that, I don't know, I just really liked it. A lot of people dismiss that tale, which I don't think you should. I love Puss in Boots, and there's so many messages out in there about women as male objects and old men and young men and love and betrayal and purity and sex, and it's just so good. My favourite line from the whole book comes in this tale. My favourite quote in the whole book is on page 81, and it's, "Love is desire sustained by unfulfillment." I just love that. I just think it's so beautiful. Like, it's such in the middle of such a funny tale, like, too much. My other favourites are most definitely The Bloody Chamber, which is what it's called after. That's a Bluebeard tale that's been completely subverted. Really, really love that. Love, like, there's so many decadent images of like jewellery and purity and mirrors. Oh my gosh, the mirrors. So many mirrors, literally love it. And the Earl King as well is so nice. I just really love it, like the way like women in this story don't always end up killing the men or like ruining the men. Like, a lot of them are at one with being in a relationship, which I love. And Wolf Alice as well was absolutely gorgeous. Lady in the House of Love. oh gosh, such gorgeous imagery, vampires, purity, virginity, death, blood, everything, just so much to talk about. It's just so packed with stuff that I could talk about for years. Will my friend, I swear, I got Deputy Head Girl. There is a senior team group chat. It's going off already. I love it. But yeah, I absolutely love this. There's also a quote, I can't remember, I think it's in Company of Wolves, and she's like, she knew she was nobody's meat. Like, yes, Carter, yes, slay me. But anyway, I could literally sit and talk about this all day. I'm not going to, because that would literally be so boring for you, but if you haven't read it, please read it. And also, if you've read any of these 3 books, can you please talk with me about them in the comments, because I've got no one to talk to them about, because nobody else, apart from Jane Eyre, has read them, so please, yeah, I absolutely love this. My only complaint about this is it's really hard to read because it's so dense, like, so dense. I'm currently reading, I just thought I'd put this in so you know what I'm actually reading at the moment, is The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. My English teacher recommended this to me because it is about a deeply flawed and self-destructive man. Blanche, male form. Basically he makes a big mistake and he has to live with the consequence of that. Blanche makes a big, well, she doesn't really make a big mistake. Well, she does. It depends on which way you argue it, but she's got to live with it, from Streetcar Named Desire. I'm really enjoying it so far. I've only read 1 chapter, no, 2 chapters. So I'll let you know what that's like. Don't give me any book recommendations because I have so many books I need to read and I'm on a book ban. But if you did enjoy this video, give it a huge thumbs up. I'm sorry I've just ranted about books for like a solid 20 minutes, but comment down below what you think about these books or any other similar books that you've read, and revision video requests too, and I will see you very, very soon with a new video. Bye! Mwah.